Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is DJ Kat, and today we are back with another crypto video. If you're considering stepping into the cryptocurrency scene, then you came to the right place. Today we're going to be understanding the difference between fiat and the digital currencies and how the blockchain powers it all. And we'll take a look into DeFi. What does it stand for? What does it mean? And most importantly, why is it better than traditional finance? Whether you're a beginner or looking to deepen your knowledge into cryptocurrencies, grab a pen and notebook because we're about to embark on a journey that could change the way that you look at money and investments. Hope you like the video, subscribe for more videos like this, and let's get started. Alright guys, let's start with the lesson, and we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies. Hopefully I spelled that correctly, but you guys have heard of this, probably have invested in this. Perhaps you want to fill in the gaps or just learn about it before you jump into it and invest. But now let's compare this to our normal currency that we've been using in our day-to-day lives, which is mostly referred to as fiat. And we're going to compare that with crypto before we go along to the next section. Now a lot of you guys are going to think, okay, does fiat actually stand for something? Because it's kind of an odd word. What does it mean? And I'm just going to tell you guys, yes, the fiat does come from the Latin word that means it shall be, or let it be done. And it just basically shows that, the value of our currency is really based on the government as they maintain its value. It's literally not backed by any physical commodity such as gold or silver. It's just the government that issues it. And that's basically it, to be honest with you. And now, when you compare it to cryptocurrencies, right, you already think in your mind that, yes, this is digital. When you compare it to fiat, this is physical indeed, and obviously this is, as we said, issued by governments. And on this side it's not, it is generated by computers. Yes. And then obviously here on this side it's limited supply. It does depend, but most of the cryptos are limited by supply. For example, you take into Bitcoin, which is deflationary. And then when you compare it to real life currencies, they are not. They are literally unlimited with infinite inflation. And then obviously here we're just going to talk about, restricted by borders. Well, on this size, on this side right here, it's actually unsizable. Honestly, it's scalable, it's global, it's unsizable. There's no regulations. There's no, who gets to own, who gets to, start a bank account. None of that is in the crypto side of things, which is really good. And another thing to add as well, obviously this is, decentralized. I'm just going to decentralized basically means no one can control it. And on here, obviously it's centralized, controlled by, the governments, monitored by them, and obviously the central banks really gets to control how much money is printed at the end of the day. But yeah, that basically is the good comparison between the two. But now, what is the definition of cryptocurrencies? I'm just going to tell you guys the exact official definition, and it has three kind of characteristics that we want to kind of understand before we move on. And obviously cryptocurrencies, what are they? It's a medium of exchange created and stored electronically in a blockchain using encryption techniques to control the creation of monetary units and verify the transfers of funds. Bitcoin is the best known example. Now this sounds like a lot of words here and there, but trust me guys, I'm going to explain everything throughout this video, and I hope you guys enjoy it and hope it clicks something in your mind. And this is really fun topic, and I feel like it will go a long way if you understood this video. Okay, now looking at the three attributes of cryptocurrency that we're going to look at. Number one, it has no intrinsic value. Okay, it's kind of a spoiler alert, but you just need to understand it's really not backed by anything. You can't redeem it into any other commodity. Just understand that concept, okay? And the next part, obviously here, we kind of already brushed up on this. No physical form, as this only exists on the blockchain, on the network, which we will talk about, the peer-to-peer. And I want you guys to remember this word, okay? Peer-to-peer. Third of all, the supply is not determined by a central bank, so not determined supply, right? I mean, it's predefined, but it's not determined, basically, right? it is decentralized, basically, is what we're trying to say here. Those are the three main attributes of cryptocurrencies, all right? But now, moving on to the next part of things is how do you actually get your money to go, okay? Now, imagine if you guys have $1 and then you want to turn that dollar into a Bitcoin. How do you do that now? And this is the second part that I'm going to show you guys right here. Let's go under here. There's two types of ways, okay? It's really only one type of way that you have to start off with, but we're going to brush up on, okay? You probably have heard of this word, and I'm going to give you examples, okay? This is decentralized, okay? Keep that in mind, decentralized. I'm just going to quickly type this, exchange. Yes. Okay, decentralized exchange, and the not opposite necessarily, but the other side of it is a centralized exchange. Okay, it's not necessarily the opposite, but these are two different sides of the same coin, and I'm going to understand what is the use case of each. Okay, but I'm going to start off with an example of a centralized exchange, guys. A lot of you guys have probably been using this, Binance, the Binance exchange. Here, another example is, Pancake. Again, probably butchering this. Pancake Swap and Uniswap. Okay, keep that in mind. And now we're going to explain it and we're going to break it down so you guys can understand this. Do not worry. Fear not. Okay, now looking at decentralized exchange, let's quickly give you the official definition and then we're going to start comparing between them two and it will click in your mind. Simple. Okay, so decentralized exchange connects cryptocurrency sellers and buyers to allow users to conduct transactions over the peer-to-peer network. Okay, remember that word again, peer-to-peer network. They let users trade different cryptocurrencies, but they cannot use decentralized exchanges to purchase digital assets with fiat money or withdraw money into their bank accounts. Okay, so these are the two takeaways here. It allows buyers and sellers to connect. Okay, this guy is a buyer and then this guy is a seller. Okay, how can they exchange, or how can they both interact? We're going to dive more into it, but there's obviously a liquidity pool in here that it's kind of an ATM machine, right? You need, if you want to withdraw money from your bank, you need to go to an ATM machine that has that money already ready with quick access. We're going to explain what is liquidity, but just keep that in mind. And the next point that I want you guys to also take away from that definition is that using a DEX, a decentralized exchange, okay, this is known as DEX as well, and this one is known as CEX. But basically, you cannot really turn your crypto into fiat using a DEX. It's really only able to do that with centralized exchanges, and we're going to get into a second into why. But here are the different differences of them. With DEX, user has custody of private keys. Now this is kind of more into cryptography side of things and security side of things, but it's the reason why when you go on Pancake Swap or Uniswap, you have to connect your wallet, and then also you can disconnect. Nothing is saved on the website of Pancake Swap. You have the custody of your own private keys at all times. Now, if you're going to ask me what is private keys, I'm just going to keep it simple and tell you guys, okay, private keys is something that you would want ideally to keep that as secret to only you, because a private key, once that is exposed, your wallet is vulnerable. Literally, it is vulnerable, and it's really irreversible unless you are very quick in action into transferring your funds in that wallet to another one, because it's compromised basically once you expose your keys. So you really want to trust where you connect your wallet at the end of the day. Okay, obviously we trust Binance, so yeah, it's fine on that side. But let's move along. The next thing here is that orders can take longer times to be executed. Okay, and then the second point here that I kind of mentioned, the liquidity is low. Okay, I'm going to explain that word in a second, so just remember that word. Okay, I kind of hear a final point. DEXs do not require any license, so or from regulatory bodies. So I'm just going to say no regulations. A lot of people can see that as a good point or a bad point. Let's leave that for a different topic. Okay. Now looking at centralized exchanges, I've already mentioned like Binance right up here. What are they? Basically, when you compare it to this side, private keys. Okay. are in custody of the company. Okay, this is kind of a, it is really a bad thing. There's no two ways to look at it. It is what it is. I'm not gonna lie to you. Binance, obviously the only way to use Binance, you have to issue a wallet within the Binance app so you can use it and turn deposit or withdraw real money into crypto and vice versa. So it's just one of the things that it just has to be that way, honestly. And I understand that Binance, obviously, that I do trust them, so I feel like they are a very secure company. But at the end of the day, this forces your wallet to be a hot wallet. Okay, I'm not really going to delve into the types of wallets and the reasons and how the technicality of wallets are, but just understand hot wallet is basically when your wallet is connected to the internet. Cold wallet is where your wallet is basically offline. It's hardware type of wallet. Okay, just keep in mind. So your Trust wallet, your Binance wallet, that's called hot wallet. Okay, second part. The good thing about using a centralized exchange, orders can take seconds, if less. Okay, that's the second thing. And then here as well, we already mentioned liquidity is an issue with DEXs. Now, when you look at centralized exchanges, usually they are very high liquidity. Okay, and this is a good thing. We're going to explain what is liquidity and why more of it is good, but keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, all right? All right, centralized exchanges. When we compare this to no regulations on this side, you already know tons of, okay, centralized exchanges comes with, regulations, I guess, license, you could call it, right? Licenses, regulations. Okay, I definitely butchered that spelling. I was going to type something else. Let's type regulations, and it really depends from country to country, guys. And sometimes, literally stuff becomes more harder to basically move your money, would deposit your money. There's limits, banks, XYZ. So that's really kind of unfortunate, but this is definitely the downside. Okay, the downside of centralized exchanges, they have to abide by each country's laws. Okay, it's not really in the fault of the actual Binance. I don't blame them. Sometimes they just have to do it, right? It's either they do it or they cannot operate in that country. And I would like Binance to stay in the UK because they're my favorite exchange and I really trust them, especially with the news with the recent centralized exchanges that gone bankrupt and people lost their savings. But again, that's a different topic for another day. But guys, going back to that word, we've used this word and I've told you guys to understand it or to keep that in mind. What is it? And we're going to talk about it right here in this section. What is liquidity? Okay, we're going to start with liquidity pool. Okay, and I want you to guys think about it. It's literally like this pool of mysterious water. Okay, this pool of mysterious water. At the same time, I want you guys to imagine these are sellers. Okay, these are sellers. And then these are buyers. How can we connect those two people to each other? Conveniently, quickly done without influencing the price of any tokens, XYZ. But let's look at liquidity, okay? When I refer to those people as buyers, I actually mean that they are providers, okay? When liquidity providers log an equal number of tokens into a smart contract, a liquidity pool, which is basically a dual asset market, okay? This is the part where I wanted you guys to understand. This is a pool, okay, that helps. Let's now come up with an example. This is BNB, and on this side is BUSD, okay? So we got the pool of BUSD and it's equal amounts, by the way, okay, dual asset, right? This is the pool. And now these are the providers / buyer providers, okay? And then this one right here is the let's just call them buyers. Sorry, yeah, this is the sellers slash providers, and these are the buyers, right? The people who want to exchange their cryptos or want to buy more. And for them to now, let's say they want to buy BUSD, these buyers, they want to buy BUSD or convert their BNB, okay, to BUSD or vice versa. There needs to be a liquidity pool that exists that has those two dual asset liquidity pool token. Okay, that's the keyword. It's a token, and now there's a whole huge pool of it. Basically, remember, as I told you, it's an ATM with quick access pool. Okay, but basically from there, the buyers and sellers can trade directly against the liquidity without waiting for an order to be matched. So when there is a lot of liquidity, it gives a lot of good things, right? Number one is obviously immediate order execution. Number two, not influencing the prices of neither of those assets. Obviously, BUSD is a stablecoin, so don't worry about that. But we're going to get into what is stablecoin. But BNB, so when you get a lot of people, for example, switching their money from BNB to BUSD, if a lot of people did that, BNB can the price can now start to tank. But if there is a lot of liquidity already, that gives a lot of room for a lot of people to, a lot of volume. Okay, this is another terminology. Volume is used here. A lot of volume, and that can be anticipated for those type of transactions to happen without influencing the price of BNB or BUSD or vice versa or any other dual asset market. But moving on. Okay, liquidity providers, which are the people right here. And by the way, you can make money from being a liquidity provider, but that's a topic for a different day. Liquidity providers are the funding suppliers to the liquidity pools that in turn powers the DEXs. This is why, guys, here, liquidity is very important in decentralized exchanges. Okay, these people are contributors who are providing the liquidity providers. Thanks to them for keeping our markets alive, keeping them available for us to switch our tokens here and there. Okay, even though you can't make money from this, as I said, it's kind of a topic for a different day. But yeah, now moving on to the next section, actually, as I say, there's two types of cryptocurrencies that I kind of want to cover and brush up on. Okay, and you guys probably have heard of it. Obviously, Bitcoin, you've heard of miners, but we're gonna now dive into this even deeper. Okay, now there's the first type, which is I've already mentioned, Bitcoin. What type of cryptocurrency is Bitcoin? And that is basically proof of work. Okay, and there's another type. Okay, proof of, a lot of you guys have heard this word, stake. Okay, what are the differences between the two? We will literally get into that right now, and I hope you guys are enjoying this type of video. Give it a like if you're learning something new, and let's carry on. Okay, so in terms of proof of work, okay, here I'm just gonna tell you guys, ability to mine is based on the mining power, which is basically based on computational power. Okay, but on this side, ability to mine is based on what? Is based on how many tokens user owns. Okay, so these are drastically different types of dynamics. On this side here, the amount of money or the amount of mining power you'll have, literally based on your GPU. But on this side, the amount of money slash validation, whatever they usually call it, a validation on this side, is literally based on the percentage of tokens you own. And we're going to talk more about this in a second. But moving on, what's the next thing? Right? How do miners make money? Okay, they get rewarded. Okay, when user slash miner basically solves a puzzle. solves a puzzle basically and creates that block. Basically, solves a puzzle to the block. We're just going to keep it simple. Okay, and another kind of key factor here is he's the first to solve it. This is why actually GPU is very important. It's a lot of miners, guys, literally, you can imagine it as it being in a race. I'm going to draw a diagram later to show this. It's literally who is the first one that solves the problem, who is the first one that gets that target hash to solve the block, to then add the block to the blockchain. And don't worry, a lot of keywords that I just said, but we're going to talk about this in a second. We're going to explain everything you guys are going to understand in this video. I hope you guys are really enjoying it, getting that value attainment. Anyways, let's go back here. Now, in the other side, proof of stake, right? They still call it the miner or the validator, basically. The miner / user, as that, to keep it consistent. He doesn't really earn rewards, but he does get paid, right? So is paid the what? The network fees, the gas fees, the transaction fees, whatever you want to call it. But to keep it simple, they get the transaction fees. Those validators or the miners in a proof of stake, they are the ones that receive that, which is basically profits, right? And this one we will cover it in a second, but this takes a ridiculous. This basically takes less power usage as compared to proof of work. And now another two things that I just want to cover up is more, crypto, cybersecurity sort of things. In a proof of work, hackers need 51% of computational power. They need 51% of computational power to add a block and execute a 51% attack. Why is it 51? Because that's majority, when you're the majority of a network, which is highly unlikely but not impossible. Obviously this is theoretical, but guys, it's basically impossible. But theoretically it is possible. Now in a proof of stake, it's kind of the similar thing. Literally you need 51% of tokens, and then now once you have 51% of the tokens, you're able to execute an attack, which is also impossible. So yeah, just two things, just guys, to let you know. This is why blockchain is extremely safe. You have multiple nodes. For you to actually compromise a blockchain or a cryptocurrency, you literally need to have a majority of the network infected under your control, which is basically impossible. Even if you have a node, if you have access to a single node, you won't be able to do anything at all. And we're gonna talk about this. What is a node? When is a blockchain? Don't worry about it, guys. But yeah, just as I brushed up on, proof of work does require more. Proof of work requires obviously hardware and energy, because mining capacity depends largely on the miner's computational power. A lot of people say this is obviously bad for the environment. This is again topic for another day. I'm not here to talk about that. In a proof of stake, it doesn't require the validators, as they said, they're called validators, right? Validators. They don't require them to buy any special equipment to solve basically, or you don't need to solve complex equations. It's mostly on proof of work. And as I brushed up, I'm just going to quickly tell you guys the definition. In a proof of work, the first miner to solve a puzzle, finding the target hash, and that's kind of the keyword that I said. Remember, target hash. Okay, finding the target hash, gets to add the block of transactions and earns the rewards. And in proof of stake, basically, they stake their coins, which basically means they lock it, right? Then the protocol selects a validator. This is kind of pseudo-randomly chosen when a when a validator is chosen. You wouldn't want it to be really predictable. That's kind of now defeating the purpose of cybersecurity. But pseudo randomly chosen validator, right? Who adds a new block of transactions and earns the rewards. As I said, they're basically the network fees. I hope you guys are not hearing the rain, by the way, but it is raining a lot. Yes, I'm in the UK, and yes, this is summer. Give it a like, subscribe for more. Okay, moving along, guys. Our next topic is going to be talking about the blockchain. I've mentioned this word so many times, but now let's actually tackle it. Let's explain it to you guys, and you guys are going to love this. Okay, blockchain. What is it? Okay, You've heard this keyword is a buzzword. Everyone loves blockchain. Oh my God, decentralized. Oh yeah, let's make money. Okay, but let's understand it. Let's break it down, guys. Okay, it comes into these two words. It's a block and it's a chain. I've already mentioned block, right? You can, and now there's a chain as well. When you really break it down into those two words, you can start to imagine the image that I'm going to draw right here on the paper. Okay, it's literally a chain of blocks. Okay, it's literally a chain of blocks. Okay, this will be the last block I'm going to draw. I'm sure you guys understand. Oh, okay, one more just to make it seem perfect. Okay, these are all blocks, and it starts with block n plus 1, n plus 2, n plus 3, n plus 4, and then finally, guys, n plus what? 5. There we go. N plus 5, and now this is the part where that really clicks in your mind. Okay, what does each block contains? What type of information does each block contains? And I'm going to explain it right now. Now, each block contains address to previous block. Okay, this is kind of like a snake head, if you will. It needs to know what was the block behind me, and obviously vice versa. This block will know what was the block behind me, what was the block behind me, what was the block behind me, what was the block behind me. So everything is in order. It will never be altered. Once a block is added to the blockchain, it is never altered, and I'm going to explain that further. Keep that in mind. Next up, what is also in a block is the time stamp. Okay, and then also as well, it has a thing. This is more into cybersecurity. It's called a nonce, right? And just finally is the transaction itself. Okay, and it's actually the verified transaction. This is after, yeah. The transaction can go ahead, XYZ. And yeah, basically, guys, a nonce, just to keep it simple, this is more cybersecurity side of things. I am a software engineer, so I'm just going to quickly explain it to you guys. A nonce, it comes with each block just to make sure that it's unique. It's used only once. This comes into handy just to help, against people who are trying to execute replay attacks. It won't happen, especially when it goes hand to hand with timestamps. So no replay attacks, no impersonation attacks here. No. Blockchain is secure. Thank you very much, guys. All right. And then the transaction verified. So yeah. So basically, if you think about a blockchain, these are all verified transactions. Okay. Once they're added to the blockchain, it's unalterable, irreversible, secure, permanent. Okay, just keep that in mind. You can't really reverse a transaction. No. But yeah, this is the general diagram of a blockchain. Okay. And now we're going to kind of move over into how this all pieces together. We understand now this is a whole list of transaction. I'm going to give you guys actually the official definition here. A blockchain, it is a database or a ledger that maintains a continuously growing list of data records or transactions. So are you going to say, is it like a spreadsheet? Is it an Excel? In a way, yes, it is, but it has special qualities that makes it better than those traditional databases and spreadsheets, right? And I'm going to cover it right here real quick before we move on to the next section that will literally piece everything together. Blockchain has 5 main qualities. Right, guys? Has 5 main qualities that I just want to cover real quick. Here is shared publicly. Okay, so it's kind of open source. It's run by literal servers and nodes that obviously known as blocks as well. Every node sees all the transaction. Everything is open source. Everyone can access it. So it's not really hiding anything, guys. This is the true definition of open source. And the next keyword that kind of makes sense is obviously decentralized. What is decentralized? That means basically there's no central authority required to approve transactions and set rules. It's all predefined rules. Literally everything is part of a code. Everything is, those smart contracts that are running, that is what determines what goes where. Okay, these are predefined rules that once it's written on code, it's hard coded. That's it. There's nothing you can change about this. Even if you're the owner of that contract, even if you've created your own cryptocurrency, you cannot change it. Okay. Anyways, next point is obviously this all links together. This is secure. So it basically means the database is immutable, irreversible, as I already mentioned, and thus making it trusted, as I said. And then finally, to wrap things up, it's automated. Beautiful. Those are the 5 kind of, attributes of blockchain. Now, one final thing that will literally piece everything together, guys, and we're going to actually draw the diagram of a Bitcoin. Okay, keep that in mind. Bitcoin network. Just going to keep that, and it's going to piece everything together, guys. Okay, I hope you guys are watching this way through the video. You're learning something new. Give it a like. I'm enjoying this, guys. I'm also learning as much as you guys. Being a software engineer graduate, this is fun. This is literally like a research. This is assignment. But anyway, let's get back on track. What am I talking about? Okay, so the words here that we're going to start using is nodes. We've covered what's the meaning of blockchain. Covered what's the meaning of a block. Okay, we've covered the meaning of miners. Now let's piece this all together, okay? And we've covered also the meaning of peer-to-peer network, okay? Or said the word. What does it actually mean? How does it look like? I'm explaining it right now. So looking at Bitcoin specifically as an example, these are mysteriously 4 entities right here. What are they? What are they doing? Okay, these are 4 entities, and this one we're going to call them nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, these are all nodes, right? And I want you guys to imagine, you see this blockchain right here, the ever-growing list of transactions, verified transactions. I want you to imagine that it is right here as well. Blockchain. Okay, it is right here as well. In each node, there is a copy of that blockchain. Okay, and I'm going to explain it. And now, I also want you guys to understand that every node is linked to every other node. Okay, every node is linked to every other node. And this is the part where we call it peer-to-peer network. This is the peer-to-peer network. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, Bitcoin, for example, I think it literally has around over 400,000 nodes. I think it's, 400,000 or 40,000. I think it's 400,000 nodes. That's incredibly a lot of contributors, where you can also be a contributor on your own. Honestly, that could be like a small project that you want. But anyways, moving over. Okay. Now you're going to say, how can every node have a blockchain? Is it going to be slightly different? But no. Okay. There is no single blockchain, but at the same time, each node stores its own copy, right? This is what we said. All nodes do their best to stay in sync. They are continuously updating each other, making sure that there's only one blockchain that they are all linking up together. Okay, this is a continuous effort in that peer-to-peer network. Okay, this is why you kind of now can understand that point where I said you need 51% of a network to infect it. Yeah, the majority. So you can now understand here, at all points, 24/7, 365 days a year, the network is in a majority trusted state, because all the nodes are basically doing what they need to do. Nobody's infecting nobody. Okay, even if you have infected one single node, it will do nothing to the blockchain. Simple as that, guys. Okay, and the second thing I want you guys to know is what happens here, right? What happens here is basically nodes share new blocks and transactions with each other. Okay, these are what they do at all times. All right, and at the same time, now I want you to imagine, where are miners in this diagram? I'm just going to draw them like around right here. Let's say there are 3 miners. Okay, these are miners. What are they doing? How does this all piece together? And I will tell you right now. So a node actually sends, what does it do? The nodes, they feed the miners pending transactions from the mempool. Okay, mempool, now this is kind of a terminology right here. Mempool, you can think about it as a pool of literally pending transactions that are waiting to be verified or mined or solved or validated, whatever word you want to choose, depending on obviously the type of crypto infrastructure that you're looking at. So obviously here, sends pending transactions. And I'm just going to put here from mempool. Okay, so the miners now, they receive those pending transactions, they solve it, and then what happens next? Okay, this is what happened next. Miners produce new blocks, feeds them back to nodes who validate. And basically validate, think about it as a, the final check before they add, for example, this node adds it to the blockchain. Okay, just keep that in mind. But yeah, guys, this is basically that structure that you're looking at, literally. Okay, you got the nodes right here, right? This is a node, this is a node, and this is a node. Beautiful, right? And then now as well, there's also a mempool in the background that they have all those pending transactions. They send it to the miners do their job, get the block, send it back to the node, they validate, and it updates the blockchain, and then they all now update each other. Hello, did you get the new update? Hello, there's a new blockchain. Oh, add this. Thank you. This is how it works, guys. I hope you really guys understood. This is such a beautiful concept. This is like a future. This is why at the beginning of this video, I told you this is literally unsizable. There's no scale into the potential of cryptocurrencies. It's not just limited to, hey, let me invest in a meme coin. I'm trying to make a 10x. Nah, this is where you can literally convert your traditional finance into the decentralized finance. What a great way to talk about DeFi, huh? Right, so before we talk about DeFi specifically, let's just draw a quick diagram of blockchain applications. All right, just going to draw a quick diagram about blockchain applications. What can be done in a blockchain, basically. And number one is DeFi, which I'm going to delve in more detail in a bit. And obviously you got tokens, which are basically, basically cryptocurrencies built up upon an existing cryptocurrency. So for example, you can build, not on Bitcoin on this side, in this example, you can build tokens in a Binance network. You can build tokens on a Ethereum network. You can build tokens on a Pulse chain network, and etc. All right. And the next thing obviously is, games. You can do NFTs, non-fungible tokens. All right. And you can also do metaverse, which is basically games, I guess. But you can have metaverse, was obviously not a game where you, I don't know, some virtual land or something. But, those are the, different types of applications that you can do. But I'm going to really focus on DeFi because I feel like a lot of us are interested in the DeFi. It's decentralized finance. We're going to talk about it. But before that, I just want to also get out the way another terminology here that people have used, and I see this a lot, and that is a DApp. Okay, what is a DApp? Is basically decentralized. Centralized application. Okay, what is it? It's basically a website or application that runs on top of the blockchain, and is referred to as decentralized app or DApp. And it's basically smart contracts are the only power source to dApps, negating the need for centralized third party. So smart contracts, and you can think about it as interface and think about it as user. So basically a dApp is the application interface for those blockchains, those smart contracts. And obviously without a smart contract, that dApp is basically useless. Just keep that in mind. I just want to cover the definition of a decentralized app. But yeah, going back to that word DeFi, I really actually want to talk more about this. And let's quickly decentralized finance, right? And let's kind of talk about decentralized finance. And I want to compare it to traditional finance. Okay, I want to compare it to that, and obviously I'm going to compare it to DeFi. I'm going to compare them into 3 different categories. I'm going to compare them in terms of trust. I'm going to compare them in terms of transparency. I'm going to compare them in terms of innovation. Okay, that's the things that I'm going to be comparing them with. And please ignore this extremely bad table, but it will do for now. But before we go back into this table that we're going to compare, I'm just going to tell you guys the definition of a DeFi. It's basically in short of decentralized finance, which is the use of cryptocurrency to create an alternative decentralized financial system that is independent on central bankers. So no, there's no banks here. No. So you see those banks right here, guys? You see those banks? It's a no. Independent from central banks, politicians, and high finance, it aspires to perform in all banking activities such as generating interest on deposits, bank transfer, loans, capital raising, and much more. And an example that I kind of want to delve into here very, very briefly is an example of a DeFi application is a DAO that a lot of you guys have probably heard of it. An example of this is Drip, for example, if you guys heard of that project. But a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, and it basically operates on the blockchain technology and are governed by smart contracts. Okay, so there's no actual human being. It's all automated, and it's run by that predefined set of rules, which are basically in those smart contracts. Smart contracts are basically literally code, for example, written in Solidity, XYZ. These smart contracts automatically execute transactions when certain predefined conditions are met, eliminating for the need for an intermediary. So as I said, it all kind of goes back to it, automated, secure, open source, does not change all of a sudden, no exceptional rules, XYZ. You can see the code as well. So this is beautiful. But now when we compare this to traditional finance and, and that, let's really compare them. Let's break it down. I just want to kind of tell you guys about the difference between two. But now let's compare the DeFi, okay? When you compare that with, in terms of trust allocation, okay? Here, I'm going to say there's no need for a third party, okay? But now when you look at traditional finance, controlled by bankers and regulators. Okay, and then now when we look at transparency here, this is the keyword. Remember this word, permissionless, absolutely permissionless and transparent. Okay, those are 2 keywords. But now when you look at traditional finance, it's extremely opaque. It's extremely opaque since banks are unwilling to expose their internal operations to the public for confidentiality purposes. Okay, so guys, this is an absolute no. But now when we look at innovation, I've already brushed up on this word, open source. I'll talk more about this, but this will be in a different video. But it's an open source protocol that encourages developers to build and create their own applications. So it's beautiful. The community is open source, is safe. And then when you look at it into traditional finance, system is burdened with cumbersome red tape, and that inhibits innovation. So limited innovation due to red tapes. Obviously, this is an analogy, guys. But yeah, guys, that's kind of the difference between them two. And yeah, guys, honestly. But going back to the whole, diagram thing, I wanted to cover another terminology here. I think it would fit if I just put it on the blockchain. And this terminology is just the word that I've seen a lot of people use that I want to cover as well. And it is gas fees. What is it basically? Those gas fees are basically a different way of saying network fees. Okay, or transaction fees. And it's basically where users pay gas fees to cover the cost of computational power needed to process and verify transactions. All right. So, for example, Ethereum is super expensive gas fees when Bitcoin is super cheap, and it depends on the network, obviously, for different reasons. But just remember that word gas fees. It basically means, the cost of computational power. But yeah, guys, another thing that I wanted to talk about here as well is the stable. Misspelled that. Oh my days. Stable coins. So let's cover that real quick. So basically, stable coins obviously is a type of cryptocurrency that is pegged, okay, pegged to an asset. This asset can be fiat money. It can also be another cryptocurrency, and basically stablecoins offer a more stable alternative to highly volatile cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether to address price fluctuations. So, for example, you get a lot of people who stake, right? They do, for example, liquidity pool providing to stablecoins, and they stake on those stable coins. It is safer because you're less prone for an impermanent loss, and that's again a topic for different videos. If you want me to cover it more, the different ways you can make, the different ways of staking, and also different I guess effects of staking, really different ways to make money on it. That's definitely for another video. But stable coin staking is much safer. Obviously, you can already guess that it is low on that reward side of things because it's less risk. And that is actually a good segue to what I kind of want to finalize, guys, with today. And it is basically the risk reward, VS reward of crypto. Okay. And I'm going to draw a diagram here, guys. And I want you guys to understand this and really take your time to kind of understand this concept, because this concept can really be applied with life. Okay. So I want you guys to think of a top of a triangle. This is crypto. If I just spell it correctly, huh? This is crypto. Okay. Under it, you got startups. So you think about this as, starting your own business is also very risky. And then under this, you got stocks, so traditional stock market, right? And then, so blue caps, mid caps, XYZ. And then under that is government bonds. So this is more safer stuff. But government bonds, it won't go anywhere, right? Unless it crashes. But government bonds are safe as well. And then under this, the even safest thing of all, saving account, which is like, is it even worth it at this point? Making what? 2%? 3? This is on a good year. You make 3%. I'm just going to let you guys know. But now I want you guys to understand this. This is kind of a triangle, and it leads all the way to the top, right? I kind of butchered that triangle there, but it's okay. And there's these two lines I want to draw. Okay, there's these two, There's these two lines that I want to draw. Right? So this line is the reward line. This line is the risk line. Okay? So the higher up the ladder that you are, the higher the what? The higher the risk. And it's kind of a rule right here that I'm going to write. Higher risk, higher reward. Okay? There's no two ways about it, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Right? So the higher risk, the higher the reward. So that's why as you go down the list, for example, saving account, it's extremely low risk, extremely low reward as well. But we're going to talk about the different types of risks. So types of risks. So for example, as we mentioned, volatility. I probably misspelled that, but it's okay. Volatility. Inflation, obviously, this kind of depends on what we're talking about here. Some crypto assets, they do inflate, where they have to mint more tokens because of certain reasons. But obviously here we're talking bonds. When inflation goes up, bad. basically. It depends really. I don't really know much about bonds. So anyways, I don't know. And then the third thing is the fear of unknown. Okay, the fear of unknown, obviously this all has to do with sentiment, news, whatever, kind of real life stuff that's happening in the world. So we've seen this before, guys, when, the war of, Ukraine and Russia started, it actually had an effect on Bitcoin, as weird as that sounds, but it does, honestly. So the fear of unknown, what type of news is coming ahead, you never know. In a month time, the UK or whatever country could be like, hey, you know what? Crypto is illegal. You can't deposit or withdraw money to your crypto wallet. That's scary. Okay, so you already know that would shake the boots, right? Shake you in your boots. But basically, this is kind of it, guys, that I wanted to talk about. And obviously, just the final thing, investing always comes with risk. And excuse my bad handwriting. Okay, this is kind of the rural life, guys. At the same time, it does come with that risk. But in life, is it really worth it to live life with not taking any risks at all? But yeah, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. We've covered a lot of things. You know what I mean? We've drawn a lot of diagrams. Beautiful. I really enjoyed this. We've talked about blockchain, the network, how it works, and we've talked about the different types of exchanges. We've talked about liquidity pool, talked about decentralized finance and the difference between that, and we've covered good information, guys, honestly. And you also understand now, basically, when someone puts in a transaction, it goes into that peer-to-peer network, as we mentioned here, and it goes into that pending transaction mempool, and then that transaction goes to the either validators or miners so they can solve it, create the verified block, and it sends it back to the nodes, which then they validate for the last time. They add it to the blockchain. Transaction is complete. Simple. This is what we learned today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this. This is definitely a first type of video. I really enjoyed it. I want to do more videos in the future, guys. Last month I've just graduated as a software engineer. I love doing these types of videos, going to more technicality of things, and soon I will be making more tutorials about, for example, Solidity. If you want to learn programming, if you want to learn, whatever. I love crypto, I love programming, I love technology, and I'm all about it. This is my passion, guys. Go after what you find passionate in your lives, and if you've gained some type of value, if you learned at least one thing new in today's video, I would love you to tell me in the comments below, what was it? What do you like more? What did you like about this video? What should I improve on? What type of videos should I make in the future? And give it a like, subscribe for more. Guys, I'm going to end the video there. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day and night, evening, morning, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.